hello stream. We're playing Killing Floor 2 today. It's a very chill, laid-back stream. We got Ben here. We're just gonna, I don't know, probably lose a lot. The game's kind of hard. Maybe I'll try a new class. Dealing sharpshooter weapon damage. Headshots with sharpshooter weapons. Freeze grenade. Ooh. Nail bomb. What is the difference? What does a support do? Oh, you're supposed to weld the doors?
That's what it sounded like when I was reading through.
Huh. Increase reload speed, increase total health, decrease shot spread of perk weapons. I think it's like shotguns and... Oh, yeah. Oh, ammo backpack? What is that? I don't know what that means. Let's see. Perk weapon damage, cloaked enemy, and health bar. 10 meters. Zed time refreshes. Call out cloaked Zeds. Huh. Okay. Okay. Hopefully the... Oh, never mind. I thought it was thunder. It was just a truck going by. It was thundering earlier today, but... I don't know. I'm worried about my internet, but I wanted to stream. I didn't think about it till it started. Yeah, well, whatever. Let's pick one and go. You know what? I'm just gonna stick with Field Medic. I'm just gonna max out Field Medic, and then I'll worry about other stuff, because Field Medic's my best.
Play game. There we go. It should have me joining. There we go.
Alright, let's see if we can find the game easily. Let's see. I never know what maps are not. We'll go on this one because it's the menu's being weird. Oh, there we go. Alright, picked one. Okay, didn't make us download a map. I can never tell what maps are official, so I don't know.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it'll be like, hey, this map's not official. You gotta download it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want on normal mode, because...
Fair enough. Welcome to the proving ground.
It's your first time. I still don't know what shared
I don't think I really have anything to even equip, so I think I'm probably just good to go.
Yeah... Wait. Do I have the right gun? Yeah, I have the right gun. Okay, yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
Share content.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I think
more.
There's the deluxe edition, because you can, like, so... I don't know. There's, like, extra guns. Where... This is a beautiful little remote island. Oh, no.
Yeah. Nope, that's, that's a crash site.
Well, yeah, other than the crash site, but it's pretty nice other than that. Otherwise, it's very pleasant. You get lost here, you could, discover dinosaurs exist on this island, and
it does look very Ark-esque.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I'm getting grabbed. Okay, no, I'm good. I can
That's
heal.
That's a great time for slow-mo.
Yeah, I don't
start
know.
Reloading.
I'm like, I don't know how I feel about the slow-mo. Like, I kind of just wish it was in, like, single-player only, or you could just, like, disable it. Oh,
yeah.
We already got another human in the game. He's speaking quite a lot, apparently, but I have my voice off. Or he's just got he's got his fan blowing directly into his microphone. Yeah. Classic.
Because I haven't muted it, but I don't hear him either.
Classic drag moment. That's so drag.
Speaking of which, hopefully it's toggle by default, and I'm not just spouting into the void.
I always worry about that, but that's because I'm just paranoid as hell. Why are there so many? This wave's lasting a long time. I hate how often they live with no head.
Yeah.
Is my least favorite thing. They're just in the... You're dead already. Move. How do you know exactly where I am? How are you slapping me? How do you know? I hate you. Leave me alone. I walked right past the trader pod. Wait, where the hell is it? It's saying it's right in front of me. Lie? Oh, it's around the corner.
Oh, okay. It was pointing me back to the original site at first.
Maybe Drake is just freestyle rapping into his microphone.
Glad you made it back.
Spicy guy? Armor. Fill up pistol.
Oh.
What the hell?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, you gotta adjust to the UI. We got 30 seconds though. That's more than enough time. The plane was called ZX. Drag initiated a skip trader vote. I don't think we're all done. Spicy guy is still shopping. I think Spicy guy's now done. I will now hit F1.
Oh, you have to hold it.
Oh, you do? Oh.
Apparently.
I just like... I don't know. Just... Like, as a socially... just horribly socially anxious person, I can't imagine having your mic on all the time. In like a... Not like in Discord, sure, but like... With randoms? I don't know.
Like,
man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't... Oh my god, it makes my skin crawl. Hearing, like, every little thing. It's just... I don't like it.
Oh god, I'm on fire. And not in a good way. I mean, like, I'm...
He's on fire! Yeah, let me know if you need healing. I can... Oh, you're good, yeah.
I think my class has a syringe as well.
Oh, yeah, they all do. I just can heal other people just with my gun.
Gotcha.
They're making a Killing Floor 3, and I mean, I'm sure there will be in this day and age, but like peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
I don't know, I kind of... Well, there's a part of it
that... You'd have assumed this one would have.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a old game.
It's like 2016, I think. Because I think... Me and William started trying to play Killing Floor 1, and we were like, oh, we, like, can't. And then we did.
Okay, I'm gonna go buy ammo because I didn't do that last time.
Yeah, good call, good call. And then William was looking at 2 and we're like, surely 2 is peer-to-peer. And he was like, oh yeah, it was out in like 2016. There's a gun on the ground here. I mean, I don't really want it. This place gives me the willies. Oh, I forgot my heals give people buffs, so maybe I should just be healing indiscriminately, consistently. Alright. This... I don't... Oh, there's an invisible wall. I almost jumped into a river. Yeah, so far, so fine.
You, did not earn money fast in this game.
Yeah, that's another reason I don't like playing with other people, is it really cuts into your dosh.
Ooh, there is a gun on the ground here. I don't know if I can do anything with it. I shot it.
Gots to. Oh, defend the zone. I would love to. I love money and XP, and I don't know what that last symbol is. I mean, that's your vault. I don't understand. This is such a weird parody. This. Oops. Got to the traitor! So true, so true. There's a...
Oh, yep, this is, not a grenade.
It's very weird to me that this plane says ZX, which is a parody of FedEx, but it's a plane?
I mean, FedEx does have air travel.
Oh, alright, never mind. I don't know it either. I healed Spicy Guy.
Grenade out.
There's a hold point
another
if you
grenade.
can get over here.
Yep, I was working on it.
I got you. I got you.
I just also brought the entire...
Oh, please. No, please. I would love nothing more than... Oh, hell yeah. Oh.
I hate how slow-mo also takes you out of ADS.
Does it? I never noticed that.
It keeps doing it for me.
I don't really ADS that much in this game, because, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as natural as in other shooters.
I guess.
That's just me. I'm just a weirdo.
I also realize I've been holding it down the entire time, rather than, like, clicking to change to ADS. That might be part of it as well.
I did change that, even though I don't ADS much, I did change that. Alright, easy peasy. I don't know what the effective method is to kill these zombies, or not zombies, what are they called? The robots? Robots is what the kids are calling them. I feel like shooting them is not it. Like, they do die eventually, but... Like, I don't, like, there's the big dudes with later that have, like, the weird things on their chest, and they have, like, saw blade arms.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, just throw a lot of grenades at them, as far as I know. But the robots, I don't know, it never feels like I'm doing a great...
Did the trader outpost change location?
Yeah, every wave.
Oh.
Generally, we...
in the same spot last two.
Generally, we try to switch... Or to be near it when the wave ends, but... It's not a huge deal. I'm gonna try... Fire mode shoots a blood boar that injures, slows, and weakens Zed. All fire shoots healing... Oh, healing darts. Not a viable weight loss plan. Sure. I tried this once, but that was the first time we played, and I had no idea what was happening. I got a vacuum cleaner that sucks blood directly from the source.
Last chance. I have to power down.
I don't know how to exit that menu without clicking something.
Time's up. Go kill some Zeds.
Alright.
They're all back by the beach again.
What is this? What are they doing here? What is green backpack?
So the one guy, it does just, I think, have their mic open. Because I was able to hear the other guy say hello.
That's very weird. Oh, I think the backpack means you can take something from him?
Oh. Oh, there's a weird invisible guy.
Wait, I think I bought a shotgun and not the gun I thought I was buying. Shadow Raptor entered the game. Sometimes you enter a server that's just too damn popular. I don't know, it's fine. I can deal. I can hang. Oh yeah, you can just receive ammo from him. But he's running from me. Please, I want to receive ammo. Receive ammo. I did it. I received ammo. Yeah, so I guess if the backpack's there, you can just nab ammo off him.
Huh.
Interesting. Oh, so that's what support provides. I understand. Which seems pretty good. Because you save... How much money could you save on the ammo? Also, running out of ammo mid-wave sounds pretty bad.
Oh, that guy... Yep, I forgot that they still live without a head.
Finish the last ones off.
Wait, maybe this isn't the vacuum cleaner that sucks people's blood out. I thought about the shotgun by accident. No, it just... Okay, well, I don't know what that blood icon means, and truly, I don't know what's going on. That's cool. That's fine. Feel spicy, guy.
I definitely tried shooting a zombie thing with the syringe. It did not work.
I mean, when I heal things, like if I shoot my healing dart at a zombie, it turns into poison. So I don't know.
Ooh, got an achievement.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I should probably go the right direction. So true, so true. This guy is just straight up singing the Batman theme song. What? Like in game. What? They can just do that?
I guess.
Sure,
can
man.
I afford... No, I cannot. Okay.
No,
I'm just
I meant to sell this. Oh, what? I just bought a bunch of ammo, so now I'm poor. Oh, shit, I'm stupid.
I'm trying to save up for the Scar, because I at least know what the gun is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just... It's been like 5 waves of not being able to...
Yep. Yeah, that's why another reason where I'm like, I just prefer less people, because I'm like... now I
Glad you made it back.
can't you just make less money, so you get less stuff. And like it makes sense because you know the money's spread thinner because there's more people, so you know having more people makes it a little easier. But on the flip side, I would rather just have less people and get more money.
Right. Do you run fast with a knife at this game?
No, I don't think so.
No. It's
I
not
don't
like
think you-
CSGO.
It confused me because the first one works like that. I don't even know if the enemy's health scales. Like, I think with more people, you kind of just... Everyone's just kind of fucked, yeah. Damn, David's collecting collectibles. I just don't even know what they look like yet. I don't know if they're different on every map.
I was there to stab that guy. Oh, I have 2 different pistols now.
Yeah. Guns in, like, armor and... Well, I don't know armor. The first one they did, the armor spawns. But, like, there's just guns and ammo on the map that reappears randomly. Are you really, like, I don't know. Like, completely ignoring my horrible socialness, like, playing with more people just feels a little too easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's really just like I could just sit here doing nothing and we'd be fine. It's a little boring. It's not the way to play IMO.
Ooh, kill a siren before she screams.
I healed Spicy Guy.
In other news, there are things called sirens.
Yeah, they just yell. When they're screaming, it blows up grenades. Very annoying. Which, you know, again, they're not very impactful when they die before you even get to see them. I don't know. Maybe that's an argument for playing on a harder difficulty in a big group, but you never know when you're in a big group. It's sort of
right. Because you can't do private lobbies.
Yeah. Oh, robot. Hello, robot. I will vacuum you. Die, weirdo. Like, everything just kind of goes away. Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Alright, let's sell...
That's great.
His... Now I can afford... Oh, I can also afford a...
I am buying...
Screw plan A, I'm getting plan B.
Okay. I got a rocket launcher that shoots... I got a missile launcher that shoots healing rockets, but also the healing rockets eliminate our foes.
I got to the end of that cliff and I'm like, is there fall damage?
There is, but... There is, but...
Okay.
I don't know how aggressive it is in this one. These guys are just... These guys got all the damn collectibles. They're watching a YouTube guide. Protected another area, yahoo!
I have another weapon. There's just one sitting on the ground over there.
Oh.
It's the one I just sold, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yahoo! Collect all the volleyballs on Zed's Landing. Oh, we did it.
Nice.
Another argument for not... Like, I literally didn't do anything.
No.
I didn't even know what the collectibles were on this map until they were all picked up.
If I contributed at all, it was entirely on accident.
Literally saying, like, oh, it's just... The problem is, like, if you want a private lobby, you gotta I don't know, some port forwarding business, which I'm
Have
not
a lot
into.
more money, I guess. Yeah.
Just shoot the floor, heal everybody, deal damage. This gun, I don't know, man. This thing feels a little overpowered. But if there's ever a time to use the overpowered gun, it's when the win is already free. Hey, like that, chunky. Doesn't matter. Oh, you're on. Everybody's a little on fire.
Ooh, okay. You know what? That's a good time for slow-mo. I was in a knife fight with this guy and just like sliced right through his head.
See, I like that. That's good. That's good eats.
All right.
I don't know. Like the slow mo can, when it hits in the right time, it feels pretty cool. But usually it doesn't.
Loading. Loading.
I really feel like I'm just sort of here. Oh, I guess he feels.
I will say, buying that minigun has made it so that I'm making a lot more money. That or it just scaled up a fuck ton.
I think you're just probably getting more kills. I think like it's not shared, so if you have a better gun, you're getting more kills than you.
Live in cave, paint on walls.
Who is speaking caveman speak?
That was my character? I've never heard her do that. I think there's map-specific dialogue, which is pretty cool.
Alright, first thing first. Yep, need ammo. Ammo.
Maybe I'll try this. Yeah, sure, why not? Why, if there's ever a time to try something new, why not do it now?
A grenade rifle.
But this is a gun? I thought it was a melee. Oh, it is a melee, but it's a melee with the... What the hell? I got a baseball bat.
You can buy guns from other classes, too.
Yeah. So you get... I think you get XP in those classes if you use those guns, though.
Ah.
But if you like the guns, then, you know, you can still grab them.
Yeah.
I had a baseball bat that has ammo. And I think if I use the alt fire, it does a heal. I'm not really sure. That's the MF and Shadow Man. I don't know. I haven't had to heal many people, so. Oh, I can heal. Oh, you're kind of hurt. Here, let me. Oh, let it. Oh wait. Wait. Stop moving, please.
Alright.
Oh yeah, right-clicking uses ammo, and I smack you with the healing baseball bat, which is, of course, how that works.
Imagine nurses coming up to your bed in the hospital and just hitting you with a hammer.
8 nurses surrounding a guy in critical condition. The 12-car pileup and 40 nurses running with baseball bats. I'm getting my shit kicked in.
Yep, I see that guy. I emptied an entire minigun into that guy.
Yeah, those are the guys that you want to do explosions on, because bullets are less effective. But it doesn't really matter too much, because, you know, someone else could, you know, figure it out.
Oh, I'm going to use a slow-mo to reload.
Alright, I'm going to go hit people with a baseball bat. I think it's a healing AoE. I think it heals people in a circle. What an interesting weapon. What a strange weapon. I like it. I like baseball bat that lets me... Oh my god, it's kind of sick. Like, I one-hit this little fucker. Then I just fucking...
I should probably reload and then buy ammo.
I don't know if it matters. Well, actually, maybe it does. I just put like an N64 cartridge in the baseball bat. What have I not tried? I think I've tried every medic gun. Wait, no. Oh, wait, yes, I've tried this. Oh, these missiles are very expensive. Oh, wait, no. I was looking at the sell button and I'm stupid.
Know what Zeds love? Broken armor. Fix it.
Oh, what Zeds love? Broken armor. Yeah.
Money comes, money goes.
Nope, can't afford that. Never mind.
I'm fits to bonk people.
Time's almost up. Beat.
Either this is a giant paper cut or something else.
Keep the area secure.
Defend the zone. Okay. Why not? I like Dosh. I like experience points. I think the yellow thing is the vault. And then every time you get to a vault threshold, you get, I think, a loot box. But I don't know for sure. I'm still learning in that aspect. Really don't get to do much. Eh. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Is he? Hell yeah.
Ooh. Wait, who had that receive ammo option just now? Oh,
Green
this guy.
backpack man. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm I'm doing nothing. Here you go, Shadow Raptor. I see you need some HP. Oh, Flesh Pound. Get owned, loser. Oh my god, he beat his ass. He didn't stand a damn chance.
So just learned, when you've run out of bullets in the minigun, it doesn't reload you if you're still spinning it.
What do you mean? Like it'll just...
If you are holding right click to keep the barrel spinning, it won't
I see.
reload. It won't let you reload.
Yeah, you gotta stop me. Okay, yeah, that's good intel. If I ever use a minigun. I don't know, I think I'm a baseball main now. Baseball bat's kind of the secret sauce.
I think when we had less people, the minigun was doing well. Now that we have a lot of people, not doing as well.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Feels a little,
Crowded.
extremely. I don't love it. This is just everywhere I look, there's a weirdo with a strange backpack on.
The area remains totally secure.
We
Reach
did it.
level 5 on any perk.
One day I'll
No one died that time. Merveilleux.
Not that one, apparently. I should definitely get armor.
Yeah. Armor's very important. If you don't have armor, you just melt in a crowd. That's fun. Little decorations. Have fun. This is not right. So true, King. I should probably buy like armor too.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell the
Oh,
minigun.
looks terrible.
It's just not as useful as
I feel you.
I now have a thing called a medic grenade.
Wait, you have medic grenades?
Yeah. I just picked up a something called a grenade, something grenade rifle.
Medic grenades are, they make like a blue zone. They heal you if you're in it, or your friends while you're in it, or just kill things. They're poison enemies.
Nice. Barbarian Assault has trained me.
Oh, yeah. I wish Barbarian Assault had more play. Oh, was this always lava? I don't recall that being...
No,
oh,
that
it burns.
seems new. It does seem like the map changes as time goes on.
Flaming hot magma. Zoinks. Oh, well, he's there on fire, too. Bop, bop, ba-da, bop, 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 ba-da, bop. Ba-da, 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 bop. How are we doing on health? Just, everyone's literally fine. Got him. Shadow Raptor's gonna get... Nope, it's dead. Okay. Oh, cut that guy in half with a baseball bat. Very visceral. Way too close to that. Didn't like seeing it. Eat shit. Loser. I like the baseball bat, actually. It's a lot stronger than I would expect. For some reason, I always expect melee weapons to suck ass.
Area remains unbreached.
Oh, easy peasy.
Oh dear God, that was a jump scare. A corpse in the middle of that slow-mo just went sailing across my screen.
I'm taking you down.
I'm torn because I'm like, I don't know if I put the difficulty up to account for more people or if I just hope no one joins on a different server.
A good instinct.
Yeah, because if we try to account for more people, I feel like then we're just gonna get people not wanting to play on that difficulty, and now we're just fucked.
Me, Ray. Live in cave. Paint on walls.
Paint on walls. I guess the... Oh, maybe... Oh, yeah, it looks like the volcano erupted. That's fun. I don't think the rivers just turn to lava. I don't think that's really how it works, but... I've never been near an active volcano, so what would I know? Yeah, I guess I'll just fill up all the nothing I spent.
I was trying to mess around with the healing grenades, so I used quite a bit of those. I'm gonna sell my varmint rifle again.
And yeah, but mostly I just see the guns on the ground as free money. Alright, so there's a final wave, and then the boss, which I think is random.
Maintain the area's security.
Oh, another keep Zeds out of the marked area. Okay.
Blood is thicker than water.
Thank you.
Tossed out free money.
Hell yeah. I should be giving away free money.
I mean, I guess it is like the last round, so presumably we might not need it after this anyways?
There's one boss fight after this, but yeah, after that we're good.
Gotcha.
I should just give away all my cash. That's what I'll do today. Maybe it's an achievement. Here you go, everybody. Have some money. Yep, got an achievement.
Nice.
Easy peasy.
Ooh, this grenade actually works great for entryways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just covers a big area. It's very nice. Sometimes I shoot my rocket launcher and it doesn't... I don't know if it's like going into the enemy because they're so close. I don't know how it works. Sometimes it just doesn't do anything. Really just camping this missile launcher. Bow, bow, bow. Yeah, this is I would say this is not when the game's at its peak.
Oh hey, some guys, the support thing. Because they just put a door up.
Hell yeah, get welded, losers.
Ooh, and I can affect them on the other side of the door, too.
Hell yeah! We got the strats. Everyone's full health as hell.
My grenade might have been helping with that. Because I may have hit a guy right that was going past me. Oh, nope, I am out of ammo.
Oh, yeah.
Well, out of grenades, rather.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I had a gun I picked up, so you could have that if you want. But you might have it already. Yeah! Got him. Alright, well, boss time, I guess. I feel as if the boss is not going to have a good day.
How we all doing for ammo?
I didn't even get to try out my my new gun I bought.
Feeling generous.
Let's armor, grenades, grams.
Throw all my money on the damn floor. I don't need money where I'm going.
How did I lose? No, it's just not. Oh, I can't. It's physically too heavy.
Yeah, you have like 15 slots and different things take different amounts.
Anything else I can really make use of? I don't know what Sentinel is, but I have enough money to call it in.
I don't know. So it's good.
Yep.
Time's up. Go kill some Zeds.
Alright, who we got?
Oh. Oh, never mind. That was the boss.
It's Dr. Hans Volter. He's
I thought that was me summoning my drone at first.
He is so fucked.
Oh. Oh. That's, So, the drone explodes.
Oh, good. I think, yeah, I think
it
William
does not
did.
come back.
Oh, good.
That or I just have to wait a bit.
Try me, Hans. Try me. Try me, Hans. Oh, he's getting his ass beat.
Reloading the minigun.
You ain't shit, Hans. You're just like your father.
Got a quick heal.
I grow tired of this game, aka absolutely getting folded.
Where'd he go? There he is.
And Hans. Oh. Fools, that was the easy part. You're goddamn right.
That was 3 achievements there.
Hans, you're garbage.
4.
Oh my god, he's just flying around.
How's that feel? All better, mate?
Wow, cheap viewers. Just what I always needed. Would hate it if the viewers I bought were expensive. I'm getting a bot in chat.
Wait, how do I see? I got 6 knife case that. 142 headshots.
Alright, I'm gonna go back to the main menu. I don't know if there's... I think I have to leave alone, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I'll just re-invite you.
Tier unlock, got it.
Maybe we could get in a lobby that isn't...
How do I... Oh, I probably have to leave as well. There we go.
Alright, let's see. Invite Bentley. Browse servers. Top servers. Ryan's sex machine. Interesting. It's the lowest amount of people in a server 6.
So I can either take tackle reload or high cap. Probably just more capacity. Oh, you get to just configure it whenever. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even like mid-round, you could just like flip it to the other one if we wanted to do that for whatever reason.
Not a fan of the rifle that this class starts out with.
Oh, God, the ping.
Very minor complaint.
How do you refresh? There's not a refresh button. There's a big refresh button right there. Oh, we can play on a ping with a server with 700 ping. Just what I've always wanted.
Yes.
Alright, we'll try this one. Though it has low ping, so I'm expecting people to just join. But it's fine, because we'll... It's not fine, actually. I'll probably just stand around doing nothing again, but we'll just hope. Oh, it's very short, but that's probably fine.
There we go. Ready up.
Where do I find these guns? Because I want a Zweihander. Who is this?
The mission is underway.
What the hell? I hate this. This is awful.
Yeah.
Like, oh. Oh, hello. I was admiring the art. That's what I hate about Zeds the most, is they don't appreciate art. Yeah, they really just be showing up.
I also accidentally hit T, which put me into chat.
Ah, that would not help. Yeah.
No.
We are strength. That guy's wanted to have normal amount of steroids. Please let go.
Grenade.
Nearly cleared this batch out.
Why? The trader is 500 meters away? What? Huh? Where is the trader?
I don't know, because there's doors blocking us from leaving.
There must be an elevator.
They are.
Yeah. There must be an
It's
elevator?
not the bathroom.
Oh, elevators? Do these work?
That's your ammo.
Nope.
Maybe they...
Oh, let's follow the blue lines. Ah, these elevators.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
You're
Never
right?
mind, I'm good. Yep.
We just go... Okay.
No fall damage.
Oh, that's terrifying. Alright, cool.
My
Maybe there
blue
is...
arrow's gone, though.
Goes up my leg,
But
up
it...
my back,
Oh, it's under us.
over my shoulder. You're a guy
Wait, it's not... What?
slicking skills.
Oh, we walked past it. We're stupid.
Alright. Fair enough.
Ooh.
Not a good look for us.
Where is it? We can't find it. It is simply not here.
Enemies on the scope.
I was gonna smoke some.
Back together.
Ooh. What are these flavors? There's regular. Would you rather try regular bio cola? Let's see. There's probably lemon. That's
Probably the orange one.
Yeah.
Last chance.
Yeah.
Think it's orange flavored, or does that synonymous with something else for you?
I'm hoping it's orange flavored, or at least citrus adjacent.
Hmm.
Make a difference.
Oh, I thought you were a freaking Zed. I was scared. Oh.
Oh.
He's dead as hell.
One of them got past me.
I was gonna smoke some weed and then I got high. I was gonna get up and smoke some weed and then I got high.
I don't even remember the original context of how I fucked that up.
I think we were playing Rocket League, and we were
yep,
just
that part's correct.
we were just making stuff up.
Fair
Like there were other people in the call, and we were making stuff up, and then you chimed.
Yeah.
And you chimed in and said I was gonna smoke some weed, and then I got high. Sometimes I wish like there are moments that I had streamed, or at least had like a recording.
You
on
had it on video because you put in a compilation at some point.
Yeah, I think I'm so upset with my past self because I think I got really frustrated with like some of the people in that video, and I just deleted the whole thing out of annoyance with those people. And in retrospect, I'm like, I wish I just kept it. Not the way I should have handled that, but my brain sucks. So what do you know? It is what it is, I guess.
Come see me. The pod's safely
But like in general, like I remember also there's a moment. I mean, I haven't talked to Trevor in a long time, but there was a moment when I was playing Borderlands with him, and we were both like just losing our shit because we were in like the second area of the game, and he tried to hit a ramp, but it didn't. Like he like smacked into like something that was like a pixel high off the ground, and it just exploded our car. I mean, it doesn't sound as funny re-explaining it. I mean, it's like dissecting a frog. But, like, in the moment, the abruptness of it, like, how fast we went from just, like, oh, we're gonna hit this ramp, to just dead. And, like, flying across the Borderlands, because we both went flying out of the car, was so funny. And I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, man, I wish I recorded that.
Yeah.
That's why, like, from now, sometimes when I'm playing games, I'll just, like, have, like, my recording open, and they have like the replay buffer thing where it's like it's not recording but it's kind of watching, and if you hit a button it'll like be like, okay, well we took the last 5 minutes and turned it into a file, which is a great it's great because I don't have to record like hours of playing games, but if something funny happens I can just be like, oh, I'll just click a button and now I have that. So I guess this level is just we're just descending into the bowels of this way too tall tower.
And madness.
True. That's just happening always.
Oh, hey, there's a ladder. Ladders do not work in this game. Never mind.
Classic. There's a lot of demons coming down the hallway.
Grenade.
Second grenade.
Additional grenade.
Quattro grenado.
Oh. Nope. I accidentally pulled my knife out and meant to pull out a different gun.
Yeah, this guy's a bit of a problem. Okay, we got him.
I regret this room we've chosen.
Yeah. But, like, it's probably... Okay, maybe not. Yeah, I think if we were on a harder difficulty, we might have got punished for that, but...
Yeah.
We're...
Oh, invisible person.
Please let go of me, mister. I accidentally threw a grenade instead of kneeling. They're just falling from the ceiling, which couldn't have anticipated. This guy's walking on another person's head. Very interesting.
What about Sunshine?
No. I don't think any of these creatures have ever walked on or even been around Sunshine.
That's fair. I'm gonna leave them out of the death room.
Cool. I'm just gonna shoot this one and then come try to back you up. The healing darts in the show are very generous. Oh, there's a flesh pound. Yeah, nades are the way with these guys.
Hey, I killed my first flesh pound.
Beautiful. Yeah, and there we go.
I hate that name.
Yeah, very porny.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What was it?
I don't know. It was some gold trophy.
Oh,
just shot
that's
it,
probably.
got money.
Oh, I see one right now. Wait, you got money? Wait, I can't aim? I got it.
Banging one in.
Yeah.
Where's... Oh. I did the same thing we did after the first wave, where I couldn't find the thing.
Luckily, I wasn't thinking about it, or I would have walked right past it as well. And like a silly man, I have a lot of money. Oh, this thing does no damage. All my medic guns are kinda ass. I'm gonna take the missile launcher because flesh pounds are scary. This is the last wave also because we're in a short game.
Gotcha.
So, you know.
Yeah, I'm grabbing a minigun because after that last wave, I feel like we might need something for hordes.
Agree. I don't like this place.
Oh, they're like making those things here.
Oh.
But I just saw one on a conveyor belt, like above us, looking through the glass.
Oh. Why? I guess maybe, you know, that Dr. Hans Volter guy probably has something to do with it. Probably a fair or safe guess. He's probably on their side. Probably was a normal dude. We can assume all sorts about that weird man.
Yeah.
So there's a screamer on.
Siren's dead.
Beautiful.
I think the slow-mo activates on a headshot.
Yeah. I guess I didn't mention that. Yeah, it's like a headshot. Sometimes if you get a knife kill and like you cut a guy's head off, but then he dies a little later, it'll still activate because you did cut his head off. It's a little weird.
Grenade.
Excuse me, Zeds. Oh. Oh boy.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Oh boy.
Grenade out.
Okay. Oh, I take this frickin'. Also destroys missiles. I don't understand. I still don't understand the significance of the robots. Feels so unrelated.
Maybe they're just trying to keep... I don't know. I was gonna say maybe they're trying to keep the experiments going.
I'm sure there's a Killing Floor 2 like 3-hour lore video out there. It's gone berserk. I didn't know they did that. But I guess that makes sense.
Things are about to get serious.
Alright, who you got?
Impressive.
I want that.
No one ever wears
Oh, yeah, I want that too.
People don't take the time to dress up.
That looks fun.
Alright.
I'll take 20.
Ammo, grenades, armor.
Upgrade your gear.
I have a lot of dosh.
I am over carrying capacity to get anything. How did you drop your money last game?
B.
B?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try getting that
Almost out of time.
that achievement as well.
Make your choices.
Yep, there we go. Give 1,000 dosh. Oh,
Infinite
no.
money machine. New infinite money glitch found.
Last chance.
Alright.
Is it just the one achievement?
Start of Doom? I don't know. I haven't actually. I didn't get any others, but
Okay.
there could be like some cumulative thing. There's just so many achievements. Sometimes I read through them. Sometimes I'm like, this is too many. If I ever try to 100% it, I'll worry about it then.
Oh, he has that gun.
Well, that's not fair.
Well, it's not quite the same gun.
Hello? I can hear him talk. Oh, hey, thing.
Oh, there he is.
Oh no. Oh my god, you're melting him. Oh, he's having a terrible time.
Yeah, once I have to reload though, that's gonna
Yeah,
change.
and then he runs away like a little baby. I just keep forgetting my heals get buffs. My brain stopped working. Okay. Yeah, he runs away and summons dudes, and then he, like, heals like a big baby.
Switch to my other gun in the meantime then.
And I think you clear him out, and then he'll come back, and he's like, oh, I'm pissed, whoa. And it's like, I don't care, you're stupid.
Ooh, now he's back. Oh, he also heals.
Yeah. Oh, hello. I'm gonna heal you so you can get more damage buffs. Don't run away, coward! Coward!
Alright, well, reloading again.
What if I can hit him with my missiles from around the corner? Oh, someone joined. To mooch off our hard-earned victory.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's like, we gotta kill Steeler Joint. After we've done all the hard work.
He's been sniping the stream so he knew exactly when to join. Oh.
Ow!
Oh no!
I'm dead!
Oh, God. Uh-oh. Where's the guy oh wait, he won't join until after, right? Yeah. Oh shit, I have to clutch up. Hang on. I can't hold it.
If you can get my minigun, it still has plenty of ammo.
One moment. Hello.
I either was not looking at my health, or...
I think he I was looking at your health because I was, like, trying to make sure I was healing. And you looked fine to me, and then you were gone.
Okay.
I think he just, like, comboed you, just, like... Did he leave again? The coward? Oh my god, I hate this guy. I still can't hold this? Oh, shit. Okay, drop this.
There we go.
Please let me go. Give me the... Oh, no. Hello. Oh, he's smacking me.
Yeah, you're,
He's cheating? Ah, that sucks. That was so unexpected. We're like, oh yeah, easy peasy, and then he just one-shot you. He's sure got a lot of shit to talk.
I can't tell if that's saying I got an emote crate, or it's saying I could have gotten it.
I don't know. I didn't see it either.
On your screen, it's where the Krampus treat.
Oh yeah, I think you got one. Oh nice.
Oh, cool.
I guess you got just random the crate.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can hang out with the slasher guy. He's probably chill. He's got Killing Floor 2 as his icon, so he probably likes the game a good amount.
Or he's just a dev.
I was thinking that too, but I was like, I don't know. I guess what a dev
doesn't like the game.
Yeah, he's a dev. Also, he thinks the game's kind of bad. Do you vote airship? Or was that him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll also do airship.
I just clicked something random.
I'm fine with whatever, really. I don't have a preference. I guess you could just not pick for that. Maybe. Siren Scream neutralizes grenades and other explosives. So true, so true, so true.
Probably should have gotten that grenade rifle from the last game. That might have helped me more than...
Honestly, I think I just shouldn't have dropped my missile launcher because it was also healing me every time I shot. But I was like, eh.
Like, it did great damage, and then very quickly it didn't.
Oh, maybe this guy's full noob.
Alright. And ion thruster. That needs to be on, like, a ship, not walking around with.
Let's make some sweet, sweet cash.
Alright, this time for sure. I haven't beat the Patron before. The dude's a little freak. I don't like they look like they're wearing masks sometimes. It's very creepy.
Yeah.
Like they're just wearing another person's face, which is like not cool, dude. That's not your face. You can't have that. Let me out. Let me out!
Did you launch the healing thing at the same time, or was that
Yes,
my grenade
yeah.
and it also used? Okay.
Yeah, we both threw a grenade. We got the gamer sense. See a big pack, throw a grenade. Very just, you know, elementary.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm reloading.
Oh, its head is gone.
So, like a weird noise in the game that sounded like it was in real life. It's very freaky. Thought you guys beat the shit out of it.
I'd like to point out, I had ammo. I just chose not to use it.
Apparently it doesn't explode if you do it like that, so that's good to know. I learned something.
Fill up on armor, grenades. Alright.
No problem. No problemo. Oh, it's a free vest here. If anyone doesn't have armor. Well, I think let's pick it up.
Okay, can confirm it does not matter if you reload before or after you buy.
Good to know.
Best game ever.
Here you go, I have all my money.
You beauty.
Well, hopefully by round 4 I can buy something.
Yeah.
That may or may not have been all of mine.
I was saying.
Okay, so here's where vending and the trade stations. Oh, the one over there. Cool.
Easy. Oh, I just like almost fell down the damn stairs.
Oh, I do not like that guy.
Bigger by the Day is sharing content. Wow, thanks, Bigger by the Day. I love shared content. I like my content like I like my women. Shared.
I didn't know where you were going with that. And even when you landed, I still wasn't too sure.
Yeah, that's fair. Me neither. There's someone like on the other side of the map doing something.
Downstairs? No? Oh, someone found him and got a headshot.
Oh, right. I always forget they don't join until the waves up.
And he got bored just at the end, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 people joined and left. But that's also fine, because less people, more fun. IMO.
Bill. I'm good with grenades. Honestly, I'm good on armor for now. Do I want? No, I don't.
I just gotta get a medic missile for flesh bounds.
Wait,
So
hang on.
Wait, why didn't I refill my grenades?
What does this do?
I
think that's a gun that fires money at people. The Dashin gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you DC as well?
Yep.
All right. That server's dead, I guess.
All right.
Let's run it back. I was like, I bought, I filled up all my ammo, and then I was like, huh, why is my ammo now full? And then I tried to go back into the trader, and it was like, nah. And I was like,
I aimed down sights and immediately just was no longer in the game.
Classic. Oh, Hank, wait. Hold up. I think all the official servers?
Just emptied.
I think so. What is the date today? Is it Monday or Tuesday?
The 20th. It's Monday.
Okay, so it's not Steam.
27th.
Because Steam usually does stuff around on Tuesdays. I guess we'll just go back in. I'm gonna pick a hard level.
Okay.
Because I feel like people are gonna join, and if we go on... Oh god, the ping on that one is disgusting. Wait a minute.
Were you about to click the one that was 4?
I don't know. It was just higher than I ever would have liked. Okay, maybe we'll just go on normal so we can have good ping. I really like this game, but the server finding process, it feels like I'm constantly compromising. I'm like, okay, well, I'll get crappy ping on lower difficulty, I get, or better ping. I don't know, it's weird. Alright, well. We got Mr. Come Up.
Alright. So I need to kill 5 rioters.
I don't even know what that means.
I need a... Neither do I, but those are my daily objectives.
I need to deal damage with katana? Okay. I need to earn a SWAT.
I need to use a
sure. Oh, you know what? Sure, I'll play a SWAT. I need to earn
Burning
a SWAT.
Burning Hell on Earth, that's what I need.
Complete the match in map Spillway on Hell on Earth. Yeah, I don't think so. That's kind of another thing is like they have these like specific missions. They're like, hey, beat Hell or Slipway on Hell on Earth, and I'm like, well, I don't get to pick the difficulty or the map. So I just have to like go into a game and try to commandeer the map vote so I can do my daily. I don't burn that much XP, so it should be pretty quick.
I mean, I was not useful during that slow-mo, but that was the coolest reload I've ever had.
Hell yeah. I've been thinking this year I should watch a lot of old movies that I never watched. Because, like, I haven't seen a lot of classics, and I feel like I'm missing out. Like, I was thinking, like, I've never seen, like... Oh, go ahead.
I have both Die Hard 1 and 2, and have not seen them.
Yeah, that's another two classics I haven't seen. I haven't seen, like, Pulp Fiction. I haven't seen... Just, like, anything iconic that... Like... people usually have definitely seen if you're like a movie person.
In fairness, all the things you've listed so far are things I have not seen.
Maybe we're both uncultured.
I've seen clips of...
I think
you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we're just both uncultured swine. Is the thing. I'm so fast on this character. This is not a door.
Armor.
You're running low on ammo, mind your own business. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I keep feeling like there's like I'll like watch something and there's like a movie reference I don't get like it just I constantly feel like I'm just not getting references. And also like I've been watching like binging with Babish. Oh, they got pole dancing poles in the center.
This mall used to be a strip
That's
club.
how they covered it up, which honestly, not bad. We've been watching, like, me and my mom have been watching Binging with Babish together.
Yeah.
And, like, we'll watch Botched by Babish, where he, like, remedies an old mistake he made. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, we're doing this from this movie. And I'm like, huh? I don't know what this is. I don't understand the significance. And I'm just like, you know, I really should. It's not like I don't have the time.
Also, you've missed it. I have now 3 times go to throw a grenade and threw money instead.
I mean, everyone likes a little cash.
Yeah. I was trying to slow them down and distract them.
Yeah, and it worked for sure. And that's the end of that. It just did. I also have been wanting to rewatch, because I did my end of the year video halfway through the year, and I was like looking at through honorable mentions, and John Wick was one of them, because I never watched the third one, but the first two were sick, and I'm like, I should really finish that, I guess, quadrilogy now. 'Cause there's 4 now, I think.
I've honestly not seen any of the John Wick movies.
God, the first 2 are so sick. I don't know about the second, or the last 2 yet, but, I mean, if there's anything like the first 2, pretty sick.
Yeah.
Where am I going? I'm confused. I'm not paying enough attention. I keep forgetting I can sprint in this game.
Still can't buy anything. Oh. Also, apparently your flashlight has like just a set limit.
Yeah, I think it has a... Wait. I think it... Well, in the first one, it shows how much flashlight you got left.
Yeah, and the bottom right, the 9-volt battery thing.
Oh, that's what that means. I always wondered what the hell that meant. I thought because it was red, I was like, you need a 9-volt battery for something. I'm like, I don't know where to get a fucking 9-volt battery.
I found out last game when I had my flashlight on the entire time, and it got down to like halfway. Oh, they're making those things here too.
Yeah, I don't know. This game, you know, like I said, I'm gonna have to watch a long 4-hour lore video and figure this all out.
And they unsuccessfully made one here as well.
Yum. There's the fence or point we gotta defend, but I'm having trouble getting around all these haters.
Oh, I'm gonna take a detour. You cannot shoot out the blast, so there goes my detour.
Oh. I'm at the zone. I think you have all of them. Oh wait, no, I got 2. No, wait, 1. Nope, 2. 3. 4. Okay, I got some.
Oh, that's a siren thing.
Unfortunately, I can't heal you because I switched classes, but I have full faith in you not to get killed. Objective complete. Earn XP. Swat.
Oh. I thought you meant like the objective of securing the area was done.
Just as you arrived. No, we're actually very behind.
I am out of grenades.
The guy's just flying through the air. I got him.
Alright, you wanna go, knife guy? Let's go.
Yeah.
A guy with the sword showed up, and I just decided I'm gonna pull my knife out for this guy.
Area mostly secure. A very solid
Oh,
proposal.
perfect, but we got it.
I don't know how effective I actually was there.
When no one dies.
You know, it's better to not die than to,
Wise investment, mate.
uh,
I don't even know
what was I
this
saying?
stuff is.
It's better to not
mean, yeah,
die
I
than to
did
worry
stay
about the
alive.
objective. That's it, I got it. I'm looking for
I
collectibles.
kind of
Oh,
want the Dasheen gun, but I feel like because I don't have much money, it probably wouldn't actually be effective.
yeah, it sounds like the money gun in Terraria, where you only buy it when you're like, you feel like being a
Loaded.
little silly, and also you have an astronomical amount of cash. Yeah.
Make your choices.
Riot Shield and Glock 18. Sure, why not? Why not?
Is there a riot shield? Oh, under the SWAT tag.
It has a damn hole in it. Idiot.
I mean, it's to shoot through, I assume. Oh, nope, never mind. Never mind, I take it back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could, but I don't think that's the intended purpose.
I mean, I should.
Given where that
Time's
is.
over. Get back to work. More Zeds inbound.
More Zeds
Knew
inbound.
a guy in Sydney with some slick ink skills.
Knew a guy in Cindy with some slick ink skills. This lady's always thinking about tattoos. It's simply not the time. I don't know, like, is this like a Dead Rising situation where, like, here everything's fucked up, but, like, outside of the immediate area, things are kind of like life is normal? Or is this like everybody's having a terrible time?
I don't know.
It's like in Dead Rising, you leave the mall, it's just the rest of the normal world. There ain't zombies. Everything's
I
fine.
kind of want to go and, like, sit through a Killing Floor 2, like, lore video now.
Yeah, I'm interested. There's enough intrigue here. It's kind of like Payday 2, where there's like there's a through line, there's lore, but I don't know how do you figure it out? Is it just people?
You know what
putting it
game has an
together?
amazing lore and doesn't deserve to?
No. I mean,
Power Wash Simulator.
really?
It has better lore than it has any right to.
Oh. You know what? Wouldn't expected that.
Ooh, that robot, you know what? I now know what you mean by bullets are not effective.
Yeah, they kind of just chill, but I don't know if it's because of the gun, like, I just have, like, a bad gun, or maybe I'm meant to throw explosives at it.
Ooh, I don't like that guy that I just walked into. He has a I don't like that guy either. I just found, like, all the big enemies there. So we've got, trouble above us.
That's okay. I love trouble. Aphrodite entered the game. Aphrodite's a gamer? Oh, hello. Let's throw that at him. How do you like that, loser? Oh, that actually does stun. One more fella somewhere.
I don't know where the other chainsaw guy
Oh, there's a... He's over there. He's chilling. Just throwing money at him.
Yup. The worst part is I wasn't even trying to grenade that time.
Oh,
I was
that ammo.
trying to change fire mode.
Ooh, I ran out of ammo at the
Alright,
end there.
where'd that money go I threw?
Classic. 4 people just joined the game and they're all SWAT? This is what they mean when they say you've been swatted?
You need ammo.
Alright, I don't want that.
I mean, our backup is here, I guess.
How much money do I
And one of
have?
them's also another commando like me.
Anyone dead?
Yes, I am very hurt. Just emotionally, though.
Bubble guts. Baby chunks. Yeah, yo. I'm gonna look for collectibles. Is that one? Oh, it's like it's a necklace with a... It looks like a necklace hanging off of something.
Huh.
Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I may as well do something while we're just...
I just threw money again.
Damn, what the hell AC they got in here? There's icicles coming off the damn pipes.
Probably for cryostasis.
Classic. Classic. All these zombie plot lines, they love their cryostasis. They added in COD, they added in Killing Floor. That's all the examples I have.
Yeah. That guy's wearing a chicken on his head.
Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you simply must. Oh, I see another one. Wait, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I can't hit it for some reason. Oh my god. I can't hit it. I'm pure ass. Please let me go, mister. Ugh, I shot a guy in the head and he didn't die, but the back of his head popped off. Very gross. There we go.
I've done it again. I went to melee and just threw 5 piles of cash on the ground.
Classic.
Yeah, I'm reloading.
I'm kind of just looking for collectibles now because there are so few enemies
I'm like
near me.
stuck in a corner.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll come help instead.
There we go.
I was like, we got a bunch of teammates now. The game is kind of a wash.
Yeah.
Hello, gamers. What are you guys up to? Oh, nice unicorn hand. Very chic.
Finish the last ones off, so I can open the trader pod for you.
I want to know the lore on why they can't open the trader pod between waves. Were you afraid the zombies are going to go shopping?
My theory is it's more of a security measure so that it can't break.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, hey, a thing. Dude, I'm sick of collectibles.
Looks like tofu's.
That was the last one.
What?
Get to the indicated
My
pod
character
on
started a
this line.
sentence that sounded strange to hear,
I'm impressed by
but
your
she didn't get to finish
survival
it,
out
and I'll never know.
You know what? I think my joke answer might actually be somewhat correct because she also just said that it's safely open.
Oh. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, it makes enough sense, I suppose.
A FAMAS with an underbarrel shot. Yes, please.
Let's fill up on gear. Should I buy a backup gun? Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care. Everything's fine. We're safe. The game's, it is no problem. They got them in jail here? I don't like it. It just makes me uncomfortable. They got like a bunch of jail cells with Zed's just kind of screaming.
3D printing these bastards.
Next, they'll be 3D printing those bastards. You guys got a chicken on his head. You were damn right. I thought you meant just like a chicken hat, but he is like a raw-ass chicken. He got salmonella injecting right into the dome.
Which... There's so many icons now that I no longer know where you are.
Yeah, there's 4
Because aren't
SWAT
you also
MFers.
playing as SWAT?
Yeah, like everyone who joined is SWAT. Aphrodite, Yayo.
We had another commando, but he left.
Did he? No, we have 2 commandos still. Baby Chunks.
I don't see him.
They're around. Everyone's just kind of doing their own thing, I think. I mean, I'm just looking for collectibles now because I'm like, oh wait, is that? No, that's not one. Oh, cripes. Zombies. I guess. I got a free Crowville survival tool. Uh-oh, that's a flesh pound. I don't want to deal with that.
I don't need it.
I'm going to bring this to the group so we can dispatch him together like a family.
Banging one in.
Huh. Hazmat suits.
Ooh, girl! The stun loser. Please let go of me. I got a collectible? What? I was shooting a dude.
Clear this batch out. Nice work.
Oh, I accidentally switched to not fully automatic.
Grenade. Another grenade. Oh, okay. Nope. I thought that was the end of the world, but nope. It's just the end of the railway.
Who's your mummy now?
Alright. Flashband's still kind of scary. I got a collectible by accident. I was just throwing nades. Don't know how it happened. Don't know how it happened, but I guess it's fine.
Oh yeah.
There's got to be one in here somewhere.
Perfect. Pod is open again. Let's get you restocked.
I refuse to believe there isn't one.
A good day's work and everyone survived.
Let's see. Let's see. I kind of want to try this thing. Do I have the money for that? I sure do.
Oh, right. I'm supposed to be buying that, like, Magnum somewhere.
Oh, right. This is the SM or LMG that makes a shield.
What class has that Magnum I'm supposed to be?
Has what?
There's a Magnum I'm supposed to be using for the daily, and I'm trying to figure out what class has it.
Probably sharpshooter, which is the like crosshair. There's a revolver. Is that it?
There
oh
we
yeah,
go.
Magnum revolver. Yeah.
I think it was this one? Okay. It's under Gunslinger, and I...
That's not.
How did I lose money without doing anything? I didn't throw it this time, even.
I have to power down the
Someone's just in your pockets.
I think that guy might have actually been able to take money from me. Because I was standing next to the thing and I lost
Protect
money.
the area.
Oh. Huh. Oh.
That or it just was delayed and me buying ammo just finally took effect.
Maybe. There was some server stuff that said. I mean, we just did have some server stuff. So, possibly?
Fair enough.
Oh, big fellas.
Grenade out.
Many grenades out. Oh, another flashbound. No, another flashbound. Oh boy.
You know what? I'm just, here goes all my grenades.
Yep, we don't have some, baby. Aha, got you. No problem.
Siren, watch your ears. I'm hurting.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. No one respects the zone.
Oh, that was amazing. So it turns out the guy with the dual blades can block.
Yep.
Except it doesn't work against underbarrel shotguns.
Banging one in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That? Yep. Nope. Healing.
Done.
So, oh, I got pulled back into the room.
Oh. I love reload speed. Makes me happy. My brain is always in a rush, and I like when my guns reload fast.
You still got that healing thing on you. I'm right behind you.
Nope, I'm not medic this game.
Gotcha.
Area almost totally secure. Nice work.
Self-heal again.
You're staying in one piece. That's great.
I am staying in one piece, French lady. Thank you for noticing. I love when French ladies notice me.
We're in danger of
People always be like, oh, senpai noticed me. Have you even considered French women?
I see you have no grenades. Is that wise?
I see you have no grenades, just that wise. And I don't like it when they critique me, and I will fight them all.
Alright, back to Gunslinger, and...
buggers don't root to reproduce.
Did they ever release that game where you're on a office chair and you have to shoot a shotgun to move around?
What?
Oh, what was that game called? I remember seeing that years ago.
It sounds interesting.
It was kind of like a super hot fight through the waves type thing. But you were on an office chair and you had a shotgun, and every time you shot, you moved.
Huh.
But I don't remember what it was called, and I saw it like literally years ago.
Back to it.
No, there's one more collectible left, please! Oh, I hate this guy. This guy sucks.
Oh.
Other than just being disgusting, it's just a hell boss that sucks, and I hate it.
Too late to run.
Oh, it spawned right beside me. Oh no. And I'm very far away from everybody else. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh no, 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 no. Oh god, no.
Ah. I see.
I thought this guy was gonna weld the fucking door in front of me. I was about to fight his fucking father.
He is welding it now.
I thought he almost locked me out, and I was about to fist fight his dad.
Is this another one where they bring out waves
I think
of
they
enemies?
might all do that.
Okay. I mean, I know that first boss we did, like, he never had time to retreat, because we kind of just melted him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one is just like, don't be in the purple plasma. Have something ready to hide behind. It's basically what I've got out of this boss. And you're fine. Oh yeah, you're right, this dude, many robots. That's what she do.
Ooh, good. I can use my revolver then if they're enemies.
She also loves her puns and doesn't ever stop talking. Lightning is a rather the human body is highly conductive. Uh-oh, we lost someone.
Oh, one guy's down. Ooh, I'm about to be down.
I really should heal the full.
Yeah, those robots have missile pods.
Yep. Oh no! This crip walking at me. Is running like a damn gorilla. Oh yeah, you're dead. Yeah, you're dead as hell. Trying to take care of the robot so we don't get like bursted out of nowhere. Alright, finish out the boss.
Oh, it was right behind me.
Oh yeah, very much. Oh, it's screaming. It's got all the moves.
I'm out.
We're good. We got it. Woo!
Hey.
I mean, I'm glad the boss at least wasn't a complete wash.
Yeah.
Best game ever.
I did not realize you cannot jump over railings, so I
Yeah, learned that one the hard way. You like can sometimes? I don't know, that's weird.
Maybe I needed to crouch jump. Or maybe you can't jump over backwards.
It's like certain angles, I'm not sure. Or maybe you have to be sprinting?
Oh shit, what's the thing or either of us need to do for our daily?
I got mine.
Oh, that was the map you needed?
Oh no, I just needed to... Oh no, I needed to... Oh, the map! Oh. Yeah, but we have to be on Hell on Earth difficulty, which... I don't think the difficulty
never mind,
changes.
fuck that.
Like, I'm okay with doing hard, but we also can't change it. Like, it's just the server is on that difficulty. I don't really care where we play, to be honest. I'll let other people pick.
Backup pistol and knife.
Oh, can you look at them in... Oh, you can. I have to deal damage with katana.
Wait, where are you able to look at? Oh,
If you hit escape. Or I think on this screen, you should be able to on the next screen that comes up.
I'm on a loading screen at the moment.
Yeah, on the next screen. Sorry. The bullet's body can take a lot of hits. Aim for its head. I mean, that's just... Shoot everybody in the head, should you not? Alright, well, I'll change classes. We're clearly lacking in a healer at the end there.
Alright. Okay, so I just need to deal damage with it. What was that?
You also hear a man grunt?
I heard one cry out in pain.
Same thing.
I have to kill Rioter 05.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
And then I need to deal damage with the Magnum. Should I maybe switch to Gunslinger just to get that done?
Yeah, you can just buy it on the other class. Or on your class. But
oh, he doesn't even come with it anyways, so yeah, I'm gonna... Yeah.
Alright, well I'm gonna have to buy a katana this game, I guess, which is fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I saw this train and this, like, hillside over here, and I just had, like, flashbacks to XCOM 2.
Oh yeah, the train map, iconic.
Yeah. Just,
so
it's like, everyone dying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the way. So the collectible in this map is what I can only describe as a purple egg sack. It looks alien as hell, very gross. It was just on a tree. It was just purple, very gross looking, much like myself, except the purple part.
I'm gonna head towards this building thingy, because that's where I would put a collectible.
Too true, too true. I'm just
well,
gonna...
they put a trade station here, so if nothing else, I am near where the trade station will be.
Might have been, the two I've seen have been pretty in the open, which it makes sense. It's a forest map. It's kind of already, everything's obstructed enough. I got another. I'm owning. I'm so good at collectibles.
They don't make them like that anymore.
Oh, it's a skull. I was just looking at it from a weird angle. It was like a purple skull. It truly looked like a baby sack of evil.
Well, that's oh, yep, that's a futuristic train crash.
Train crashes in the future are much cooler than now.
What is this? I can open something.
Oh, yeah, this thing on the ground. There's just one right here. Is it a skull? You know what? I don't know what that is.
I can weld something, apparently.
Oh, the door's closed. What you shouldn't do, because we need to go that way. You can, like, weld...
Do I
you
just have a welder now?
I think everyone has a welder. You just hold E to pull it out. Or maybe you have to be near a door or something. Or maybe you have...
Oh,
you know
I
what?
thought that was specific to the support class.
I think he's better at welding. But you don't have to be him to weld. Alright, I assume Berserker has a katana because he's the melee class. 800. Oh, it's only 850. Okay, it's not too bad.
I just learned now there's an autofill button.
Yeah, we're all learning at our own pace. It's okay. I mean, I haven't even been using it till this stream. I'm just looking for purple demons in the forest. Oh, I found a tree.
Before you shoot it. Oh, I thought you meant I found a collectible.
I'm ready to heal yourself.
Tree is an interesting word for that.
How's that feel?
Oh yeah, I can heal you. Duh.
It's new.
I forgot I'm healer now.
Break time's over.
If I see one, I'll show you, but
More Zeds
Okay.
inbound.
they're usually not that hard to find, actually, on this map I've found so far, anyway.
Who is this mysterious marksman?
Who is this mysterious marksman?
Be right with ya.
Oh. So true. Down! 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 Block that, doofus. Oh no, he's blocking it! Oh, I see one.
Alright, I'm...
Right above me on this
Attempting to
tree.
head towards
Oh,
you.
you're further away than I thought. Okay. I'll wait.
Yeah, I was just trying to walk in the perimeter.
Yeah, no rush. Things are
Wait,
spicy.
I just realized I can look to my other screen and just see.
That's true. Right here on this tree, this weird purple thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I thought it was a skull, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that one looked more like a spider.
Yeah, they look like, I don't know, like from some angles it's a alien baby sack. From some angles it's a bug. From some angles it's a skull. It's truly all things. It can be anything you want. A purple thing. Get it at your local Walmart. It can be whatever you want.
Glad to see you made it through. Make for the pod and gear up.
You make for the pod and gear up.
I like it when everyone makes it out alive.
Oh, there's one in this pod, but you can't shoot that one.
How's the gang all doing?
Phil?
Can I afford a katana? I cannot. I will not be purchasing anything. Fallen
Okay, hitting that
Seraph.
big red button didn't thing.
It didn't? Oh no, are we lagging again? I know my collectibles. I'm sure there's like 8,000 guides on where every collectible is in every level now, but I still enjoy looking around for myself. Just, you know, looking on the bright side of having Spicy Lamp and his friends in our game.
I'm about to
I don't need
Yeah, I
to...
don't know how to use the welder. So I'm gonna give up.
That's for the best. Honestly, I don't think welding is a mandatory requirement for this game.
go kill some Zeds.
It's like, maybe helpful sometimes. Cloaker? At this hour? Oh my god, Zip Lord? Is that really him? Bro just
Ooh, wait,
dodged
is
my
that-
damn bullet.
Hey, I got another.
Oh, nice.
Finally managed to find one.
Good eye, cadet.
I have no clue what the fuck they are, but I found one.
Truly, I'd still... It's probably just some weird, like... It's probably a lore thing, I'd bet. Oh, I see
Yeah.
another one. One left to go.
Considering that there was one inside the train that we couldn't shoot because of case.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's like a sample.
Yeah, probably some. They're probably making the freaking Zeds with that or something. It's like how you know if you're making sourdough bread, you gotta have a sourdough starter, but it's for zombies.
Back in the game. Who is this
Yeah.
mysterious marksman?
Makes sense to me.
What the fuck?
the Z starter. Just, you know, makes enough sense. I don't know. You guys are mean to me. Please leave me alone. Oh, if there's got to be one in this cave.
Found a cave?
It's like a little cave. It's just off to the side. It's just a MF for wiling out in here. Okay. There's not one in the cave. Update: the cave is empty. Oh, the trade center is actually in the cave. Who just shot me? Why am I on fire? Oh, you. Get on, loser.
That was the last one. Get to the indicated pod for resupply.
How's everyone doing on HP?
You good?
I'm not being a very good healer, especially because I'm about to buy a damn katana. Yeah.
Hey, I can afford the revolver. So now I can start doing damage.
Let's fix you up.
Ready to rip someone a new one.
Can I sell my other pistol now? Nope. You
No.
cannot sell your main starter
Yeah, you have to
pistol.
keep one. Which is unfortunate because it's the one I always want to get rid of.
Yeah.
I didn't buy ammo.
I'm gonna do a questionable decision, and I'm going to sell my main gun so I can buy ammo for the revolver.
Oh,
Respected.
Rick and Dad used to have one of those. Not as fancy though.
Rick and Dad used to have one of those. A water wheel? I guess.
Hey, I
Did
found a
you
gun.
ever- You ever own a
Just-
water wheel? Yeah,
Just
that
found
works.
another
Just
random
get a
pistol on
freebie
the-
gun.
Time's almost up. Beat.
A high-tech. Just sell that.
Keep the area secure.
Oh, collect all the items on Black Forest. Nice.
Alright,
This cat's back in the game.
now I'd be more of a team player, I suppose. I mean, the only reason I'm not being a team player is because I really don't have to be with this many people.
Ooh, this gun just opens enemies. So long
Who's
as I can
shooting
hit
missiles
them.
out here? You better stop it, mister.
You good? Oh yeah.
Okay, robots can stun you, I just learned.
Yeah, they got like a coil thing when you get close to them. Very not cool. Kill.
Right on the money.
I mean, I guess we could weld that door.
Grenade
I've
out.
never heard of welding wood. Ba-dum-bum.
Grenade out. I'm just gonna keep grenading because I have lost my way.
Okay. Makes you think. When life gives you lemons, you throw a grenade. When you really don't know where to go in life, just throw a grenade.
When life closes a door, open it. It's a door.
Blow it open with a grenade. It's fun.
If I can ever get back to all of you, I will be in desperate need.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I can come out and heal you. I don't even know where you are, actually.
Same, man.
Find a Scrake with a katana,
I,
as the Bible foretold.
100% have done a lap around the entire train.
You know, and I'm gonna... Oh, is that you up there? I forget what class you are. Oh, you're coming in now.
I found a house.
Oh yeah, that's where we are. Yeah, come on in. We're partying on the bottom floor.
I'm heading downstairs. Yep.
Let's
Man.
fix you up.
Thank you very much.
It's a party in the USA, as they say.
Grenade out.
You good? How's that feel?
This place has a lot more holes in it than it did at the start of the wave. I didn't realize there were destructible environments.
Yeah.
Which is cool, I appreciate it.
But you know what? That door is holding.
It held
Nothing
out the whole
around
wave.
it is.
A good day's work and everyone survived.
I smell them coming.
What's the word, guys? Let's keep this going.
I mean, if nothing else, I feel like I kept the zombies away from the building for a while.
Lucky streak.
So, are they technically zombies, or are they like mutant creatures?
That's, I don't know, I'm not getting a zombie vibe, but that's just what I call them because I'm a simple man. I see an undead looking creature, I call it a zombie.
Fair enough.
But I don't know if it's actually a zombie.
But let's keep our eyes open, alright?
Oh, I picked up another random revolver. Let's sell that.
Just autofill for now. I'm still using my katana.
Hurry up. Zeds are getting closer.
You all in one piece.
You're watching my training arc?
Yep.
Protect the area.
But you need a camera.
Thanks.
I mean, how else do you think they make the rocket?
More money wouldn't hurt.
True. Wouldn't be a training montage without a damn camera. And Rocky never even appreciates that.
No.
He just takes it for granted. Oh. Oh no.
Oh, I don't like that guy.
How do you feel about a katana? Oh.
It seemed rather effective, actually.
Worked for me. And the Zeds bled red. This is a weird area.
Yeah. This feels like it's like King of the Hill. Not the TV show.
Can't even get close enough for me to katana them. This is a travesty.
Oh, just out of ammo and tried shooting.
Why can't I get a gun that shoots katanas? This is stupid. Borderlands 4
what the
better have a
fuck is that?
katana that shoots guns. Wait, no, the other way around.
What's that shotgun in Borderlands 2 that shoots out swords?
That's a thing? I didn't know it was a thing. But I'm glad it is.
Yeah, it
That
was-
sounds great.
It was literally, I think, the gun I used the most throughout that game.
I mean, it's a gun that shoots swords. You're kind of legally obligated, dude.
Yeah.
Man, remember when Borderlands games were like good and then they got like really bad?
Yeah. I don't... No, never mind. I did complete Borderlands 3, just none of the DLC.
Yeah, I think I have it. I might. I don't even know if I ever bought it. I beat Borderlands 3 and I was like, it was fine. The story was really not it. But the gameplay felt good. And then New Tales from the Borderlands is like overwhelmingly negative on Steam reviews.
Fantastic work.
I didn't even know that they made another one.
Oh, it's terrible. It's very bad. It's not only is it like there's like, from what I've seen, there's like a few okay jokes, but it's mostly just like, it's like internet, like, okay, just to give you, I mean, one of the endings, I shit you not, is that they turn every gun in the Borderlands universe into tacos.
I mean,
Which is...
it sounds hilarious when you say it like that.
It's really not. It's like really like... But like, even if it was delivered in a way that was funny, it's just like not a good way for the game to end.
Yeah.
Like Borderlands isn't. It's like a jokey game, but like
They went too far on the jokes and
yeah, like there's like a balance between the funny and the silly, which makes it like what makes Borderlands like 2 like really endearing, where it's like really funny, but also like they really know how to make a serious moment work.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, and like even if the taco thing obviously isn't the canon ending, because you wouldn't have another game without if it was the canon ending. The other ending is like it's how am I trying to word this?
I need like 110 more. Gosh.
Where you at?
Here.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
It's so.
Now to get that rifle.
It introduces something into the Borderlands universe that is so horribly overpowered that it's like how you can't balance around it. Like, it's too strong. Like, in the story, there's a gem that can, like, kill anybody with, like, a death laser, or heal people back from the dead.
Yeah, that
and
doesn't
it's
fit in the universe.
Yeah, and like the ending of the game is it gets fused into, like, both of the gems like fuse into one robot. Like, it's so bad that I'm like, how do you make a story that's good involving that at all without retconning it? Like, it's too much. Yeah, it's a very bad game. It has like some mildly funny moments, but very mild. Very, very, very mild. Yahoo! And then, like, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I did not like that much. But I think that one's a little less critically hated, but I'm not actually sure.
A lot of people like it, and I'm with you. Like, I was not a fan.
It just, like, didn't feel very good. Like, I love D&D and all the fantasy stuff. It didn't feel great. The story was very bad. Like, they tried to do, like, a self-aware thing, but by making it self-aware, they kind of, like, the whole story felt redundant. So when they tried to make the ending, like, serious, it was like, no, this doesn't work, because you've already shown that it's like a weird meta self-aware thing, but it doesn't work because you can play it off as self-aware, but ultimately it's still a D&D game, or Bunkers and Badasses in Borderlands case. It just doesn't work. The theming's fun, but
I've managed to level up Gunslinger while not being a gunslinger.
That's the way she goes sometimes. I don't know, man. I kind of have very low hopes for anything Borderlands nowadays.
Yeah. That's not what Assassin's Creed became for me.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed was, like, pretty cool, and now it's like, I mean, I think AAA in general is just, they follow their formulas, and people go, okay, well, I'm not that interested. I got a Berserker
Almost
level.
like they become too corporate at a certain point.
Yeah, exactly. It's very boring, and not what, like, good art is about. Corporate, like, repetitive, samey stuff is the exact opposite of what art is. The American dream is killing me. Have I done enough
First
damage with this guitar?
Let's buy this successfully this
I'm not
time.
even halfway done. Just too many people. Whatever, I'm just gonna sell it. I'll do it a different game.
And then, just to make sure that I don't, to throw it at the enemy, I'm gonna throw all that to you.
Interesting strat. I mean, it makes enough sense. Don't want to throw it at your
About to
foes?
shut the pod.
Throw it at your friends.
Yeah.
We're in danger of looking like a team here.
Oh my god, so many people are talking.
Go kill some Zeds.
Oh god damn it! I forgot. Oh wait, never mind. I have. This is the gun I need. Well, never mind.
Ducks get all the best gear.
So is this the boss wave or is this the wave and then the boss wave?
This wave, then the boss.
Gotcha.
You know, like Green Day released a new album this year?
Huh. I should listen to that.
I listened to the first 2 songs, it was pretty good. Very, very Green Day. I'm gonna probably listen to more at some point, but
Did My Chemical Romance ever do their reunion thing they were talking about?
I'm not sure. I never really followed them all that well. I didn't even follow Green Day all that well. It was kind of just an accident that I found that out. I just had like I got into, I was watching old videos of mine, like with other people.
Yeah.
Fondly reminiscing on before my friendships went to shit with people who had horrible opinions. And I made a Green Day reference in one, and I was like, or no, we talked about Green Day in an episode. And I looked back at it, or then I went to Green Day because I was interested in the song that I heard in the video because I was like not that familiar with it. And then I went down a rabbit hole of listening to Green Day songs, which led me to finding out they had a new album.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like pretty good. Also, their old stuff is like really good. Like I listened to Jesus of Suburbia, and I was like reading the lyrics. I was like, man, this hits.
It's good. Yeah.
Like this is like really profound stuff, which is like extra
The
nice.
group
Like,
that I would love to do a comeback is Darling Thieves.
who?
Darling Thieves, formerly known, or now known as I Hate, or nope, I was right the first time. Formerly known as I Hate Kate.
I don't think I've ever heard of them.
Yeah, they were popular like in like 2005-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered them thanks to an RSMV.
Oh, of course. That was the way to discover. If you were playing RuneScape in 2005, you found out all your new music came from whatever Three Addicting Brothers or Lucky Bucket was dropping that day.
Yeah.
Real fight ahead. I like it when everyone makes
Maybe I can
it
convince
fun.
Tyler to make an RSMV again. How hard could it be?
Go team us, eh?
I don't know how to answer that because
I'll
my
take a
brain's
line
just
on
like,
it, Jeff.
man, I was thinking about him the other day, but it's like I have not heard like a word from him.
I mean, I literally heard a word from him just last week when we were in a Discord call
Oh,
talking about whatever we talk about. It's all stupid.
I'll take a 9-iron, Jeff.
yeah, I had him and Alex said the next season of Malevolence.
We actually were talking about we were making those same jokes, like because we've been playing Minecraft again on we've been Malevolence literally on the server before you log in. It's Malevolence again, or maybe I wrote again. It's just Malevolence again.
9-iron, Jeff.
Yeah. What is it now? Season like 23 or some shit?
I think that question also came up, and I think it was like 14. King Flesh Pound.
They've done like 7 seasons without me knowing then.
I mean, it's never been
Granted,
recorded.
I'm assuming half of them weren't.
Yeah, we've played a lot of Minecraft off video. We've had a lot of worlds because like it's just like the way it goes. Like it's same as with the videos. We just like we'll just be like, hey, we want to play Minecraft, and then we'll just all get together and play Minecraft again.
God
for a bit.
damn it! I just threw money at the enemies again.
Classic. I'm sure they appreciate it.
I mean, I guess I don't need it anyways, but just more of a, I feel like a grenade would have been a little bit more effective.
Wow, this guy just spawns 1,000 flesh pounds. That's the worst. How's everyone's health bar doing?
Alright, regular grenades out.
Oh my god, the explosives!
I should clarify, when I say grenades out, I usually mean all of them.
Hey!
There we go.
Damn.
Let's fix you up.
How much progress have I actually made on this
How's that feel?
Magnum thing?
Yeah, it's hard with other people taking up all the space. Oh yeah? Medicine Master?
I somehow also got Field Medic to level 2 that game. I don't know how, unless just the syringe.
I think
everyone
some
has.
guns are like double classed. Like they'll count for 2 classes.
Ah.
But I think also healing other people maybe, if you did that at all.
Oh, my grenade launcher on my gun does.
Ah, there you go.
Alright, okay. Send it to state.
I think I'll do one more.
Hey, I'm done with Magnum finally.
Oh, nice. I kind of
Still don't know what rioters are.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, you know what? They're probably on a harder difficulty because I think there's new enemies on harder difficulties.
I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna bother me if I don't.
Alright, this is going to be my last one. And then I should probably edit Taskman at least a little today.
I am looking forward to that.
It's honestly a very unhinged episode. Oh, you're not in the lobby anymore.
Oh,
Oh, never mind. There you are. You were just loading.
okay. So rioters spawn in endless mode.
Oh, okay.
No matter the difficulty.
Okay. Yeah, we've been on survival all night, so.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not healing people enough for this.
You know what? While
Yeah,
I'm on the
whatever.
wiki, Zwei it's called. I'm gonna see if I can figure out how we get that thing that it's shoving in our faces.
Heading your way.
What is this
Get
map?
ready to load.
It is a berserker weapon.
Are we in hell? What the hell? Ew.
I would say that's an adequate description.
I do not like it here.
That is not a collectible I'm shooting at. It's just a purple thing.
I don't know if every map has collectibles. I'm not sure how that works. I mean, it's very open.
Yeah.
I
Your history.
feel like a lot of the difficulty comes from the map layouts, but maybe I'll be proven wrong.
I mean, it also feels like if we get surrounded, there's not really a way to kite them away either, though.
True.
I don't know what these glowing things are, but,
We only cleared this batch.
A
a
tome
tome
seems to be missing from this pedestal. So true, so true. I was just thinking that.
That's 167 right there.
Oh,
Perfect.
Aphrodite just got a collectible. So there's something on this map.
You were untouchable out there.
City of the dead.
you know what? I'm not gonna question that.
What?
There's just like 3 feet sticking out of the ground.
Oh, good. Good, good. A flowery aroma wafts from the vase. What the hell? Are we in an RP server?
I also just realized I forgot about the ammo thing.
A flowery aroma wafts from the vase. Oh yeah, I probably should get some armor or something. A flowery aroma
Berserker.
lost from the
Feeling
base.
like it's time to get another tat.
Feeling like it's time to get another tat.
Oh yeah, sure enough, there's his Y-hander.
Oh,
It's
there you
just
go.
in the Berserker class.
I think I see the collectible. I think it's snow globes. It's a snow globe, yeah.
Okay. Is that a maze you found over there?
You have voted
Oh,
to kick.
nope.
What?
You
What?
beauty.
Did I vote? What? Ignore that. I have not voted to kick.
How's that feel?
I was holding F1 to.
Get back to work.
What is this
All heads
countdown?
inbound.
What the fuck?
Oh.
We're in the Matrix.
We're in Tron.
Somewhere in
Yeah.
the UK or something?
I was saying Tron.
Freezing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
It's much more basic.
You know what?
Or
Yeah.
Tronny.
I don't know. I think your character might be right as well. They said it's the UK.
Holy shit! This is what it looks like inside the throne room of the castle. I don't know what the castle's called. Where the queen chills out.
Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, this is the throne room. They're in like a different. They're on some very pure evil shit in there.
I am very much on my own where I am. Oh, never mind. Aphrodite found me.
Oh, Aphrodite always finds us in our darkest hours, probably. You know, Aphrodite, goddess of helping people when they're having a bad day.
Glad to see you made it through.
I mean,
Make the
what is
call.
this level?
Gear up.
Asylum. Nope, Elysium. I can't read.
You're doing great, Steve. Keep watching.
I think we're leaving again. I was really worried because I saw that countdown and I was like, oh no, did I accidentally do some vote kicks
I'm
thing?
with ya.
Auto.
We can go up these stairs.
You earned the money. Now spend it.
You earned the money, now spend it. Okay,
The dream team's back together.
you cannot go upstairs. Oh, but there's a snow globe.
Banging one in.
More Zeds on the way. Start to wrap things up, as they say.
Did I buy a shovel? Nope, I'm buying C4. Wait, a grenade pistol.
So many good options.
I don't know where those tombs are, but I want one.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when we go get teleported to other dimensions, we're supposed to nab them while we're in there or something.
Maybe.
How's everyone doing?
I'm alright then.
Aphrodite found a collectible. Good for them. I've had no such luck.
Go kill some Zeds.
Yeah, it's just like a little green snow globe. They stand out quite a lot when you see it in this one, or this open area.
I was expecting us to get teleported again.
Yeah, same. I'm not sure what's going on in this place. This shit a little weird.
Love this gig. Something fun's coming.
Something fun's coming. What does this mean, character?
Lovely. And that X-Factor reject. Yeah, I'm reloading.
You know, Baby Metal?
I'm aware of the genre. Don't actively look at it.
Oh no, not the genre. It's a band.
Oh,
It's I believe a Japanese metal group.
yeah.
They did that song "Give Me Chocolate." That's where I know them from way back in the day.
Are they also the ones that do hashtag cookie jar?
Nicely done.
I don't know. I haven't heard of it,
Got
but
out unscathed.
maybe.
Très bien.
I have successfully not thought of that song for so long, and now I have to go look.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I don't know. They put out a new song today with a group called Eskimo Callboy, which is a German group.
Oh, yep. I'm very familiar with them.
Oh, it's a slapper. It's a great song. It's Eskimo Callboy and Baby Metal. The song's called Rat-ta-ta-ta-ta, and it slaps. This is like a weird post-hardcore techno-y upbeat,
We're almost out of time.
like heavy metal banger. And I'm like, it's just, I like it a lot. It's great because also Baby Metal did a song with like Bring Me the Horizon a while back, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm waiting for my Baby Metal Dance Gavin Dance collab.
Hurry up. Zeds are getting
Okay,
closer.
no. Cookie Jars by a band called Red Velvet, which is a different
Like,
Japanese like idol group.
yeah, I know Red Velvet. We stand Wendy in this house.
Show you how it's done.
Oh boy.
Um,
The Tome of Sludge has been collected.
Cod.
Finally,
Hooray.
some good fucking food.
You good?
Well, I guess I called it on the, we gotta collect the tomes while we're in other dimensions. Does that mean we missed the one though, in the first place?
Probably.
Shit. Now we won't get to fight Hyper Satan and Omega Hitler. And Vegeta.
Is there a way to mark enemies?
Not that I know of, but I would like it if there was. Definitely would not hurt to have a ping button so we can converge on, like, flesh bounds.
Yeah, like the one chasing after me.
Oh! Now I gotta figure out, I gotta hit tab, figure out which icon you are on the map. There's 2 of them. So I just gotta guess.
I'm just running towards my allies and hoping that either he changes course or my allies actually help shoot it.
Oh, this isn't a flesh
There
bound,
we go.
that's a scrape.
Okay.
But, you know, same diff. Still needs to be shot.
He had a chainsaw and was running at me, and my bullets hit him.
Yeah, you know. Understandable.
Cover me. Reloading.
I like the music in this game. Very thematically accurate.
Make for the pod and gear up.
What's
The
this red?
dream team's back together.
You're a
Oh,
real
it's a tome.
survivor.
Oh!
Good for you.
The
Almost
Tome
steel.
of Steel.
I'm gonna put it on the altar after I use the trader.
Interesting.
Let's fix you up. All better, mate?
So maybe
How's
we
that?
didn't miss them, and all 4 are just active.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on next time we get teleported somewhere. Because I don't know what the hell is going on.
Piranha pistol. It's not fire piranhas. Okay.
Stupid idiot game.
Take a 9-iron, Jeff.
I'm gonna get the FAMAS Master Key again, because I like the thing. Autofill, switch to this, and over to the tomes.
This is giving me like COD Easter egg vibes. Except it doesn't give you brain damage.
I have to power down the pod.
There's 2 tomes placed.
Now, if there's anything like COD, we have to charge it with the souls of the dead zombies.
Turn's over. Get back.
And every map, forever, for years. They couldn't think of another mechanic.
Not wrong. The Outbreak was fun in whichever one that was.
I don't think I know what that is.
It's like open world zombies
Oh, right.
in
Yeah.
Cold War.
I think when I saw it, I think my takeaway was like, it looks fine, but they really shouldn't label it as zombies, because like, people who like zombies, this isn't what we're in for. Or like, I don't know, have both or something.
I mean, they did have both. It was
Oh.
just another zombie mode.
Oh, was that Vanguard? Or Cold War?
Yeah, in Cold War. And then they also added zombies into DMZ, which is, or not DMZ. whatever their battle royale bullshit is called.
Oh, Warzone.
Yep. There it is.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember. God, another game. I randomly was looking at it, and it's another game that has like overwhelmingly negative reviews, or mostly negative, something like that. It's the text was red, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Don't see many of those, but it stands out when you do. It's a weird feeling to be in the like the majority of people that don't like something that's like overwhelmingly positive. Right, like rating. It's like I played SteamWorld Dig 2 and I had like a horrible time. But it's like overwhelmingly like over like 95% positive reviews, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I'm, more power to you if you like it. I just didn't get it. I did not have an excellent time. Are we also supposed to be looking for flowers?
No.
Yeah, I hear ya.
I'll be honest, I'm a little lost on the plot here.
Yeah, this is the first level I've found. Well, there have been objectives, but this is different.
There's like an overall objective. It almost
Yeah.
seems. Can we shoot those demon things down?
Demon things.
The ones flying above us.
Oh. Oh. I'm gonna go with my aim's terrible and I don't know.
Banging one in. Port's closed. Go make a difference.
Alright, we still have to find 2 more stones.
Oh, that's making me feel weird in my stomach.
Oh, okay. This is... The ground is still there.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Oh, I found a snow globe.
Oh, nice. Okay, so they're not just in the main area. So maybe you do only have one shot before the game ends, and we missed it. We're in like a destroyed mansion? This is strange. Oh, I think I see another one. I see another one.
If you see anything pulsing red, those are those...
Yeah, I saw that before you pick it up. Or picked it up. I'll keep an eye out.
That's what I want to find.
I'm looking.
Because at least that we're half there.
We only have one collectible left. I just got 2 back to back. So,
Nice.
just keep an eye out for that. Oh, I
Ooh,
guess it's
something pulsed purple over here.
fucking weld these doors. For why? God, the recoil on guns in this game is crazy. Maybe it's just sitting on a rock or something.
Oh. I can open this door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I found a collectible on accident for a moment, and it's like, nope, open door.
I've been falling asleep a lot with listening to music. It's such a trip. Especially like waking up every like 30 minutes to a different song playing. When you're like when you're in like half awake. Especially if it's like a weird, oh, there's a cloaker. I was listening to, there's like a Watsky song. I don't know if you know Watsky.
No.
You might have heard that he's the guy who did the "Oh Hi, I'm That Guy, Built So Fly with a Silk Bow Tie. Don't know why I'm built so fly, but I am no lie, oh my." Like the super fast.
I found a zombie waterfall.
Oh, I want to see.
There's just zombies are falling right in front of me, and I just hit them with my underbarrel shotgun.
Oh, it's the portals in the sky. They're just dropping them.
Oh.
I thought you meant like literal zombie waterfall, which sounded great.
Come see me.
But I was listening to a song
Nicely done.
where it's like a hip hop song, and then like partway through the song, he starts telling this story about a dream he had, where he was falling. I mean, I don't know if it's a real dream or just something made up for the song, but he was falling through a house, or a house was falling out of the sky, but they were having a house party, and he got high and had a conversation with himself in a mirror. And he was talking about how sick it was that he had matches that hadn't been removed from the pack since, like, the 1930s. And he was talking about how sick it is to get high from a flame from the past. And I woke up, like, in the middle of that speech, and I was like, what? Oh. The fuck is this guy on about, man?
Tricky part. I'll take a 9-iron, Jeff.
It's a good song.
Yeah, I fall asleep to Let's Plays.
I did for the
I
long.
used to like.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wake up to random ass conversations.
Yeah, or like someone screaming because someone got their star stolen in Mario Party. Yeah, I feel that. I fell asleep to many a Let's Play. I mean,
I wish I remember what it was, but I woke up randomly because of my mic apparently got picked up by the Let's Play I was watching, and Siri had searched, don't worry, we can build you a new body.
Threatening? I don't think that was from a Let's Play. I think Siri is threatening you with a robot apocalypse.
It's like, I'm not too certain. I just woke up, and that was what was searched, and I'm like, I have no context for this.
Don't worry, Ben. We can build you a new body. What's that, Siri? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. Nightmare. Dystopia. Game's in slow-mo forever. A flowery aroma lost from the vase. So true. I haven't even been paying attention if anyone needs health. Like a real bad healer. Here you go, have some health. Here you go, have some health. Here you go, have some... I'm out. I was thinking about doing the same thing I was talking about with movies, where I was listening to, like, or watching old stuff with, like, music. I'm like, maybe I'll get a deeper appreciation for music by, like, if I go, like, listen to, like, A Tribe Called Quest and, like, whatever they were making back in the day, whoever was big. Because...
Or Crazy Frog.
Or a little Crazy Frog.
I don't know why, that's just what it sounded like you were doing a moment ago.
Oh no, that was no, that's ding 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 ding. Did Crazy Frog ever release another song? Is Crazy Frog the artist name, or is it like a band?
They have like multiple, like, well, there's a lot of covers of other songs.
Of course.
But no, there's like, there is more of a discography than there's any writing.
Yeah, I believe that. So I swear I remember there was more than one Crazy Frog song. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, they did We Are the Champions.
Oh, wait, what?
Popcorn.
Oh, you meant Crazy Frog was covering songs.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant there were a lot of covers of the Crazy Frog song.
Oh, no.
What?
Crazy Frog did covers of other songs.
Alright, hold on.
Oh, the tomes just are these like weird portal things we're seeing. I think we just turned on zombie traps.
There's Zeds on the scope. Must
Oh.
depart very soon.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, we're still missing.
Request Dosh.
Alright, yeah, fuck it.
Sorry. Oh yeah, Crazy Frog, We Are the Champions official video 14 years ago. I will listen to exactly 10 seconds of this. What? Diggity big dumb, we're the champions.
Break time's over.
Yep.
This is highly cursed.
All Zeds inbound.
Oh, this fucking loser again.
Oh, this guy again.
Sorry, Dr. Hans Volter, you're no longer this world chief. He did make the skybox redder. Oh, it's raining blood.
Hallelujah.
No, no, no.
It's rain and blood. Hallelujah.
Dr. Hans, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. I think when he gets stunned and he just flops over. Dumb idiot. I'll listen to some crazy frog after the stream. He's just ragdoll.
Where'd he go? Oh,
He's
there
just
he is.
ragdoll on the floor, having the worst day of his life. He's really cocky for a guy who's getting absolutely bodied.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to
I
say.
kind of wish we could trade him to one of these portal things, because I want to know if it does actually affect him.
You were healed by Pilot.
Alright, I am now out of...
You have $12.
all grenades out. I am out of money because I threw them all. Again.
I did see a pile of money on the floor. Oh, blew his damn legs off.
Hey, I level up field man. Wow.
It's weird that I just got a shit ton of XP for getting the last hit. I feel like we should all get some XP. It's very weird.
I mean, I think I got some as well there, so I don't think I got all.
Do you see how much?
That you got all of it. No, because I
got like 2,500.
Yeah. Oh wow.
That's like, it just should be spread. I got 207 headshots. What the hell?
Did I get any? I got no awards.
No, it was fun to stream. It's fun to stream with you because it has a different energy than when I scream with William and he's having an aneurysm into a microphone.
Well, I would say I am glad to be here all the time, but my work schedule does not permit it, unfortunately. But when I have time, I am happy to be here.
Dude, yeah, I'm just glad we got to hang out at all because we really never do.
No, it has been a while. But I will be around tomorrow. I did set the entirety of my afternoon aside. I do have to get groceries at some point in the morning, though.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. If you want to play some, I'll be around.
Yeah.
Crazy Frog, Axel F, Safety Dance, Daddy DJ. We Are the Champions director's cut. It's the exact same length as the official video. What do you mean?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Last Christmas, the Cha-Cha Slide? I'd like to move it? They have this 504 million views, 120 million, 870 million. Bro,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
What?
They definitely have a larger discography than they have any right to.
They have one just called Funny Song, 43 million views.
I don't know if I've actually seen that one.
Crazy Frog is 4.5 billion views? What the fuck? It's like the first time I've ever seen a B on YouTube views. Bro, what the hell? Crazy Frog simply built different? I mean, I guess it makes sense with that was vocals. Vietnam.
So I'm just gonna quickly direct message you the probably one of my favorite I Hate songs.
Sure, yeah.
Which became Darling Thieves.
Yeah, I'll listen to that for sure. I have like a listen later Spotify playlist that I need to work through at some point. I usually do it on long RuneScape grinds when I'm just doing something repetitive. But
That's fair.
all my tasks have been not very grindy lately, so I haven't really caught up with it. Just like a good time because I'm like already kind of like last time I was doing it was when I was doing the 3 months Mighty Banshee grind. I got through a lot of new music on that grind.
I gotta say, that clip might have single-handedly made me be like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do Task Man.
Dude, that was unbelievably bad luck. Like, I mean, I guess it was vindication for the gnome ball thing.
Yeah.
Apparently, I got the big bass at like 1/4 of the drop rate. So I don't know. This just RNG's a fickle bitch.
Yeah, I do remember though, like I was watching it and the gnome ball thing, and I just like I was watching it on my TV because I was sorting through stuff on my table. I see that. I pause the video, go into my office, and just immediately message you on Discord.
Which, yeah, that was then later in a video because I was like, yeah, you see what you're doing to me, Taskman community. Every time I get lucky, people are like, "Hey, fuck you, dude," and I'm like, "I'm sorry."
It's the video maker's luck.
Apparently, except sometimes it just doesn't work, and I'm killing Onkus for 3 months. Dude, that grind was different. Oh my god.
Yeah, I found the comment from when I was watching that because it was for me it was about 10 a.m. And it just is me going 1, good morning, how are you? 2, you got across the Teramos in 2 gnome balls.
Yep. Yeah.
I have still yet to go for that achievement. Well, again, let's say.
Dude, I feel for people who had to grind that because, like, Gnome Ball is not a good minigame.
Well,
it's
so
funny.
What you can do is you can actually just catch the Gnome Ball, unequip it, and use magic note paper if you have it from, like, Invention.
Oh.
And so all I did was I just sat there with a bunch of magic note paper, and I got, like, 50-some. And then I was like, well, that's enough.
Shit, I wish I knew that. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if I knew that. It's not like I have any. But still good to know. Alright, well, thanks for watching on the stream side. And thanks for hanging out, man. This was a good time.
Yep,
maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. Or we'll just hang out and play something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I am good with whatever.
Alright, thanks for watching the stream, and thanks for hanging out, Ben. I'm going to simultaneously leave the call and end the stream in one fell swoop. Goodbye to both.
See ya.